Peace be with you. Peace be with you. This is my spiritual autobiography, From Moses to Muhammad in 60 Years, Peace be upon him, continued. So my mother and my father were my first spiritual teachers, as it should be. They gave me a basic, firm foundation in monotheism and the understanding that upright and moral character before God and fellow man is the keystone, the goal of the whole religious experience in this life, and the best preparation for the next. Not bad for two first-generation American Jews, children of immigrants who had come over on boats through Ellis Island at the turn of the century to flee persecution and start a new life, hoping to give their children a better way to live in America. I could write a book all about them, how my mother went to work at the age of 14 during the Depression to help her family, which had 6 children, including herself. She only completed 8th grade, but later in life became such a successful World Book sales manager that she earned 2 cars for her efforts. That was how much she valued education, and that was how persistent and determined she was to help see that as many kids as possible could have the best learning tools at the time. She sold 2 generations deep. That was how much love and trust was between her and her clients. And then there was my father, who at the age of 7 saw his father murdered at the age of 26 and was soon on the streets of St. Louis in 1925 selling newspapers to help support his mother and his sisters. He was an original newsie, like the movie, the kids with the knickers and the hat. He was an original newsie as seen in the movies. He never taught us to hate anyone or be racist, even though he saw the black man up close who had killed his father in front of his eyes on that cold winter day in January of 1925. The last 40 years of my father's life, he had neighbors of all races, creeds, and ethnicities, and he was friendly with them all. My father was a mensch, and so was my mother. My parents were exceptional people, very exceptional people, and I thank Allah for making them my parents. They became what are known as conservative Jews, meaning those who follow most all of the basic tenets of the religion, but are not orthodox, strict, or reform, loose. They were just trying to provide for their children the best of both worlds, Judaism and the so-called American dream. An orphan who went to college and became an electrical engineer, and a middle school graduate who became a renowned provider of educational books. Meet my parents, Israel and Tilly Pass, who courted for 5 years and got married on December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor Day, the day World War II was declared, and raised a family of 4 children who all became college graduates by the grace of Allah. As the Muslims say, MashaAllah, look what Allah has made. This made them so proud and happy, for they knew that education means so much. My parents were involved in Jewish organizations like B'nai B'rith, Sons of the Covenant, and Hadassah, the women's branch that was named for Queen Esther, a Jewish biblical heroine. They did fundraising, charity work, counseling, and volunteer work on behalf of the State of Israel. There are trees planted there in my name and my siblings' names. It was considered to be a very great blessing to do this back when I was young, and many American Jews were being kept in the dark about the hidden agenda of Zionism that is manifesting today. My parents had no idea of that hidden agenda. My parents' passing just prior to the alarming increase in extreme brutality towards the Palestinians by the Zionists is a mercy from the most merciful. If they lived to see what is happening now, if they knew the whole story, it would have devastated them to realize who and what they had supported. The popular belief was that the State of Israel was to help the Jewish refugees in World War II. No, the Zionist Congress of 1897 chose to take Palestine. Theodor Herzl wanted to go to Argentina, but the Rothschilds, who had the deepest pockets and still do, said they wanted Palestine, so Palestine it was. My parents did not know that the pogroms, the organized raids and massacres of Jewish villages in Russia and Eastern Europe, were orchestrated by design to drive their parents and hundreds of thousands of others to America, to be met by political organizers when coming off the boats, to sign them up, to create a controllable power base that would elect Woodrow Wilson, who would sneak in the Federal Reserve Act that gave power to print our money to a criminal banking cartel. My parents did not know about the transfer agreement between Hitler and the Zionists. They did not know about the Balfour Declaration of 1917, the year my father was born. They did not know about the deal between the Zionists and the British to get America into World War I in return for the acquisition of the land of Palestine. They did not know that American bankers and Bush's grandfather funded Hitler through 1942 when Congress finally stopped them. They did not know about all that and many other outrageous things that were easier kept secret before the internet became available to the public. My parents' intentions were pure. They were not into talking politics or religion, for they had learned hard lessons as children. Learning about their parents' escape from the violence in Europe and then themselves being chased home from school in St. Louis, having rocks thrown at them by Christian kids yelling Christ killers, and my father's tragic witness to his own father's murder. After the long and dangerous journey to America, only to be cut down in his prime, most likely put my father into a quiet state of shock and trauma in which he remained for his whole life, but still quite able to function. I do not recall hearing about him ever having talked it out with anyone or been counseled when he was a kid. He just accepted it and kept going, never stopped believing and praying. But he had many questions all his life. While my mother's famous line was "be a mensch," my father's credo was "accept it." Whenever he gave us something to do we were reluctant about, or something unusual happened that was not pleasant, accept it. They were simple people who just wanted to tread lightly on the earth and be decent human beings and raise their family and to be good people, good Jews, paying their bills, trusting those who were telling them what was going on in the world pertaining to Judaism, Zionism, and the State of Israel. My father was 95 when he died in March of 2013, and my mother had just turned 92 when she died in October 2014. They were married for 72 years. They were blessed with long life, long enough to see their children grow and grandchildren begin to sprout and flourish. They were a rare breed that seems to now be having a resurgence. Jewish Menschlichkeit, good, decent Jews, without guile in their hearts, many who today speak out strongly about the brutal criminal behavior of the Zionists, without being fazed by the accusations of anti-Semitism or some other red herring argument. I miss my parents deeply. To be continued.